I am.
Alright, so imagine you're at a fashion show, and you see this model walking down a catwalk with legs that go on for days, a face just like an angel, but then you notice this shiny, fuzzy thing, and it turns out to be fur. But did you know that that fur was once the skin of an animal who was killed brutally just for the sake of a fashion statement? Well, according to PetaRights.com, more than 30 million foxes, minks, chinchillas are killed along with other animals. This statistic is only just for fur. So just imagine the other million animals killed for wool and leather. These animal skins are ripped off their bodies, and some of them are still alive, only left to live in intolerable pain. Today, I will inform you about the harsh conditions of animals that are hunted for clothing that they live in, the horrid process of how they are killed before they are put on the backs of humans, and what other solutions to live by so we can hopefully one day end animal cruelty. First, I will discuss how these animals are mistreated on farms. Rabbits, beavers, minks, foxes, chinchillas, and raccoons are tortured on what they call fur farms. Their life is in the control of a farmer who could care less about their health and safety. The life of freedom they once had in their natural habitat is no longer in existence because their home is in the discomfort of dirty wire cages which are never really cleaned, and they are filled with species, and they are all packed into one cage. They are barely fed, and some of them are left to die because of starvation, and it only gets worse. Animals are not only killed for food, but as clothing as well. These clothing materials are mostly wool, leather, and fur. Wool comes from sheep, Tibetan antelope, or goat. Other names for it are mohar, pashima, and cashmere. In the wool industry, just a few weeks after birth, lamb's ears are punched and their tails are chopped off, and the males are castrated with no anesthetics. Also to prevent fly strike, which is a maggot infestation caused by wrinkly skin which was bred into the sheep so that they would have more fur, Australian ranchers perform a barbarous operation called mulesing. That process is carving huge strips off their back of anesthetized lamb's legs. Leather not only comes from cows, but from lizards, snakes, kangaroos, goats, and alligators too. From PETA.com, 356 alligators can legally inhabit a space the size of a typical family house. But according to PETA investigation, a Georgia farmer had 10,000 alligators living in 4 buildings. That's about 2,500 alligators living in one pool. That's about 7 times bigger than the legal capacity. Alligators also have a normal lifespan of 60 years, but most of them are cut short at the age of 2 or whenever they reach the length of 4 to 6 feet. They are beaten to death with hammers and axes, and sometimes they're alive when it happens, so they have to live through like that pain. Even also our common animal companions like our dogs and cats are skinned alive. From BBC.com, BBC News reported that in France, more than 20,000 cats are stolen for skin trade. A police raid in Persuasive, France, discovered 1,500 skins used to make baby shoes. As for fur, the inhumane killings still continue. Rabbits' necks are broken or their skulls are beaten before strung up by the legs and having their heads cut off. Chinchillas are known for their dense fur. PETA investigation witnessed them suffering from painful seizures after being electrocuted or having their necks broken while being fully conscious. A new method has been discovered, and it involves electrocution of the genitals. An alligator clamp is connected to the legs and to the labia, and then when the switch is turned on, a jolt of electricity goes through the body and it causes the heart to stop. It takes a minimum of 100 chinchillas to make a full-length fur coat. So when you do the math, that's about 1,000 chinchillas killed just for 10 fur coats. So by now you're probably thinking, well, what can I do to solve this problem? One of the main solutions is simply not to wear animal skin. And companies that are vegan are dedicated to making these products animal cruelty-free. Those companies are Adidas, Converse, Payless, Vans, Nike, Charlotte Russe, Diesel, JCPenney, just to name a few. By purchasing from these companies, you are saving an animal from cruelty, from torture, and from death. Another alternative is also donating your fur. People for the ethnic treatment, also known as PETA, is famous for their "I'd rather go naked than wear fur" ads. Many celebrities like Anna Nicole Smith, Khloe Kardashian, Eva Mendes, Holly Madison, Danny DeCade, and Pamela Anderson have posed in these ads bearing their all but covering their private parts. PETA has a location in Virginia where you could donate these furs and your furs will go to the homeless, because PETA believes that the homeless people are the only ones who deserve to wear these clothes because they don't have the essential clothing to warm themselves up. So help end animal cruelty. Make sure the clothes on your back wasn't on the back of an animal. These animals deserve to live a life without suffering and should not be killed for the purpose for fashion. We have no valid reason to take away their lives for our own benefit. They value their life as much as we value ours, so why keep that away from them?
All right, so Aaron, what did you think?
I liked your position. I understood your thesis, and I thought you had good organization and good projection. And you didn't look at it from your card, you didn't stare down at your cards that much. It was like you were just to listen, and you said your info. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Right, well, the visualization as your attention device I thought was pretty good. It leads into the topic clearly, but you don't really have a clear thesis statement. You've got an excellent layout of what the content is going to be, but it's not until after you've gotten into the speech that it's pretty clear what the end point is going to be when you talk about solutions. In essence, you're asking us to not buy or to boycott or to discourage others from wearing fur products. The opening section of material consists of a long description of lifestyles of the chinchillas and other animals, but there's no source attributed to that, and the description is not really being supported in any way. Later on, you offer some supporting citations, primarily from PETA, that offers factual data and some statistical information on the processes by which the animals are raised or taken, and you've got a couple of examples, especially in places in Australia and France. It sounded to me like the French practice with the cats was illegal if there's a police raid in that situation, so those people are already breaking the law. And if the alligator farms are limited to the amount of alligators that they're supposed to have on the farms and they had an excessive number, then that sounds like they're breaking the law also. But your argument goes beyond that by saying that those laws and regulations are inadequate because they allow this to exist whatsoever, and that's a broader statement. And so you need to have an argument about the rights of animals or the need to protect animals, and I don't think that ever really gets developed. You just give a description of what the practices are in the fur industry or the leather industry. By the way, most of the same criticisms would also apply to the food industry, and so you're asking people to make a moral judgment here about the animals, but you're not willing to make the moral judgment about all the animals in the argument that you've got here. You're just going to describe the process that's narrow, and I think that's a little bit narrow. You are very dependent on PETA as a source. What makes PETA or PETA, as you've described it, a credible source? I'm not sure that everybody would agree that they are particularly credible, especially anybody who's had experience in the farming industry. They might find that PETA is not particularly credible, but you are very reliant on them, so I think you need to find some justification for them as an advocate, a source that you can trust, or you need to find additional information to build your argument out of. On the presentation part of the speech, sugar.